Hi friends, today we are going to discuss about suicide prevention program, Project Shoonya, aspiring to have zero suicide in our country. I am Dr. Suresh Padadmat, Professor of Psychiatry, Head of Telemedicine Center, Head of Forensic Psychiatry Services at NIMANS, Bangalore. This presentation is based on an editorial which I had published in 2019 in Indian Journal of Medical Research. The title is Suicide in India, a Preventable Epidemic. This is available freely on internet of Indian Journal of Medical Research. So as per National Crime Records Bureau, in 2019, 1,39,123 people committed suicide. That equates to 381 deaths by suicide every day, 16 deaths every hour, one suicide for every 225 seconds. Before this presentation is completed, 2 or 3 people somewhere in India would have committed suicide. So we have to now prevent this suicide. So this is an aspiring project called as Shoonya, aspiring to have zero suicide in our country. It is aspiring for zero suicide in our country in near future. This is possible only with cooperation of everybody. Every citizen should work towards this. Then only this project Shoonya can be achieved. So first we will discuss what are the different strategies we can adopt to achieve this project Shoonya. One at the national level, another one at the community level, another one is the individual level, what you can contribute. Of course, at these 3 levels, we can contribute for decreasing the suicide in our country. Let's take the individual level first. At the individual level, you can start asking or proactively inquiring if you see somebody who is depressed, who is going through a difficult times today. It may be your maid, it may be your family member, it may be your friend, it may be your colleague, or else if you are walking on the road and you find somebody is disturbed, please talk to them. Proactively inquire them. I am concerned about you. You feel depressed. Inquire whether they want to commit suicide or they are planning to commit suicide. Inquiring them can give a window of opportunity to do intervention. Persuade them to leave. Persuade them to take help. And also at the same time refer them to a mental health professional for help-seeking behavior. And if you want to learn more, please undergo Gatekeeper training program in suicide prevention. At the same time, there are various programs like psychological first aid training program is available. And also you can start a helpline or else join a helpline for suicide prevention. You need to support each other to prevent suicide in our community. Do not stop medication. If there are people who are suffering from mental illness or physical illness, they may be on various medication. Don't say that, oh, you can become strong. Stop all these medicine. Why are you dependent on this medicine? Don't do that because you do not know their illness. You do not know what kind of physical illness or mental illness they are going through. Stopping this medicine may trigger this illness. And this illness may not be costly for them also. It will be very costly to the family members. So please don't advise to stop medication. You are going to create ruckus in their life and in their family life. At the same time, do not challenge any person if they are expressing suicidal ideas. Don't make it a joke. Don't challenge them. Oh, you are joking. Oh, you are not doing it. You are just seeking attention. Don't do that. Because if somebody is expressing suicidal ideas means he is indirectly seeking help. It is a cry for help. Do not stigmatize, discriminate the person with mental illness, the person with gender minority, sexual minority. These high-risk populations are at high risk because they are fighting their own battle in so-called normal life. At the same time, you being a parent or somebody else, do not compare with others. Do not compare yourself with others. And do not compare your children with others. This comparing degrades a person. To that level, it will strip off him from his personhood. That should never happen. So stop comparing your children. Prepare your children for challenging life. Don't ask them, what will you do if you pass the exam? Ask them, if you fail the exam, how will you cope? If your friend has failed the exam, how will you talk to him? How will you help him in coming out of this problem? So please teach them the coping skills, teach them life skills, teach them when you fall how to get up. You can't prevent disasters in life. You cannot prevent stress in life. So you have to teach your children how to deal with this problem. Provide support and care for your parents, because suicide is well known in children or in the young age and in the elderly age. So please support them. Keep connected with the people. What you can do at the community level at large. This is the second level. At the community level, you should come up with the innovative solution. Every community, every culture is different. So, for example, in Vidarbha, Maharashtra, the farmer suicide was very high. They came up with something called as innovative solution called as pesticide bank at every village, because majority of the farmers, because of the issues in their finance, at the family problems, they are going through a tough time because there is no rain. So they used to commit suicide by taking pesticide. So those villagers came up with the bank called as pesticide bank. So everyone used to deposit their pesticide into this bank in the evening, and in the morning when they go to work they used to take it. This decreased the suicide rate significantly. So this is one of the innovative way how a community can deal with this. Microfinancing for the people who are at stress because of the financial issues. Limit the availability of substance use and drugs, because the higher risk of committing suicide is seen in substance use and drug users. So if you are able to limit them and provide the addiction treatment, definitely the suicide rates will come down. Awareness on mental illness and also help seeking behavior. Please do not tell them to stop medicine. You don't know about mental illness. So please go and read about mental illness, what are the medication can be given, what are the different way of psychological support can be given. Please do that. Otherwise, you will be teaching them wrong things. Encourage help-seeking behavior. At the same time, social way of supporting is implementation of minimum wage properly, so that the person who is the daily wages are at the high risk of committing suicide. This is 2019 report from our NCRB. So similarly, during this pandemic, these daily wages are the people who have been hit very badly. As our national policy at this point of time requests everybody to support the daily wages. If you do that, the suicide rates can be brought down remarkably. Peer-to-peer support network. Here, basically the support network is friends. Here, the suicide prevention program can be provided by the friends. That can occur at school, college, in a small community, high-risk population like transgender. Train some of the transgender in providing the care for those of their own community. And also survivors for domestic violence. You can train them so that they can provide care for the domestic violence survivors. Prison population. Train the convicted prisoners who are motivated to help others. That means the best way of prevention will be the friends or peers. And also involving attempted suicide survivors will take them a long way, because studies have shown that if you involve the attempted suicide survivors, they are the best people to prevent suicide. Community support groups, training all Anganwadi workers, ASHA workers, ANMs, training all college and school teachers, graduates, especially psychology, anthropology, sociology, science, BE engineering, whoever is graduates, they can undergo this gatekeeper training of suicide prevention. Involving mid-level healthcare workers at every wellness center can prevent suicide. Community awareness about suicide. What are the different coping skills can be taught to the community? Strengthening the family, social and spiritual ties within the community is very essential. At the same time, now we have to look at the national level. What are the things which can be done by the leaders, basically political leaders, bureaucrats, doctors, and various other national level players? National policy on prevention of suicide. That's very essential. We do not have. In a few days, it may be released by the Government of India. Intersectoral coordination. This is very, very important. Suicide is not just a health sector. It belongs to law. It belongs to home. It belongs to social welfare department, women and child welfare department. education, National Human Rights Commission, judiciary, name the department. Every person has a role to play in prevention of suicide. It is a coordinated, comprehensive efforts to prevent suicide. It is not just a health department can do it. It is a complete collective efforts can bring down the suicide rate. Life skills training of children, which comes in the education department, national mental health program, making it, strengthening it, and implementing in it every corner of the country. Mental health human resources are very less. If we are able to increase it, well and good. Till then, task shifting has to be done. Train the available resources. Train in psychological first aid so that we can prevent suicide. At the same time, making awareness of Mental Health Care Act 2017, Section 115, which decriminalizes suicide by telling that whoever has attempted suicide, by default it is considered as because of stress and no charges can be pressed against him. At the same time, it also says the state government has to do prevention, treatment, and rehabilitation of a person who has attempted suicide so that the recurrence can be prevented. Further, the technology based support has to be done because the available manpower is very less. And nowadays, the help seeking behavior is through technology. So, using social media for supporting the high risk population is very essential because we have seen many kids and adolescents expressing their suicidal ideas online. So, use this online to prevent suicide by education, by having small videos, having support networks on the social media, availability of therapies, counselings, chatbots, and also using artificial intelligence in therapies for prevention of suicide. Uber modeled like online counseling, where there is a set of counselors on one hand, and the people who want to seek help will make phone calls to this number and they will be providing services. That is called as suicide prevention helpline. To develop wellness application so that we can impart life skills for our children in every schools, cyberbullying to be prevented, technology based suicide prevention or suicide prevention apps can be developed and installed in every Android and iPhone so that before any person would like to take any suicide, that is able to pick up the mood of the person and give some warning for help seeking behavior. Further, high risk population intervention like availability of de-addiction center at every district is very essential because the people who commit suicide invariably would have been taking drugs or alcohol because of their low mood or because of their problems in their life. Person with mental illness should get the treatment and rehab at their doorsteps. Curtailing domestic violence. If you look at the number of deaths in women who are married because of domestic violence, the suicide rate is very high. Family counseling centers should be made available everywhere because the people who are married have committed suicide in 2019 in a very high rate. Fair price for farmers. Surveillance of suicide and attempted suicide across the country should be done so that we can, whenever there is a spike in suicide in certain areas, immediately do the intervention. And responsible reporting of suicide on media, by media, should be very, very essential. Because if there is irresponsible reporting of suicide by the media can cause further effect. That means there is a spike in suicide whenever they make a big story or a sensational story out of a celebrity suicide. That should not happen. Responsible reporting can decrease the suicide. That is called as Papageno effect. If they are able to teach, use this opportunity of celebrity suicide to prevent suicide in the population by teaching coping skills, providing helplines, and also teaching life skills if they are having suicidal thoughts can go a long way in preventing suicide. My dear friends, suicide is a public health issue. It is not one person, one department, one ministry's job. It is a comprehensive collective effort to prevent suicide in our country. The best way to prevent suicide is recognize the early warning sign, ask proactively, intervene, persuade them, and refer them for seeking help. There should be a coordinated, multidimensional, multi-agency, multi-phased, and multi-department approach to curtail this epidemic. Suicide epidemic I'm talking about. This is not just a health issue, but a social issue. It is everyone's duty to save the life of person. So, again, emphasizing everyone can save life, and it is time to act before it is too late. Thank you, my dear friends. If you like this channel, please do subscribe. Stay safe.